Welcome back to Outside Views, where today we're looking at how Great Britain is trying to rebuild its reputation as a top destination for international investment, despite the ongoing challenges created by Brexit. For decades, Britain was a magnet for international investors. Their financial stability, open markets, and access to the European Union made the UK one of the most popular places for businesses to set up shop. But Brexit changed all of that. It introduced uncertainty, political instability, and a raft of new regulations that have made the UK less attractive to global investors. Now, in October 24, with a new Labour government in power, there's a renewed push to turn things around. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been making it clear that attracting investment is one of his top priorities. At a recent international conference in London, Starmer promised to cut the bureaucracy that is blocking investment and to speed up the construction of housing, data centres, warehouses and network connections. He emphasised that the UK's competition authority, the CMA, will be tasked with prioritising growth, investment and innovation. In Starmer's words, "We need to look at regulation where it unnecessarily hinders investment to move our country forward." This is a crucial point. One of the biggest complaints from businesses since Brexit has been the sheer amount of red tape they now have to navigate. Everything from new VAT rules to border taxes has created delays and additional costs, making the UK a more difficult place to do business. The new Labour government wants to tackle these problems head-on by cutting through that red tape and making it easier for companies to invest in the UK. And it's not just about relaxing regulations. The government is also keen to provide a sense of stability and long-term planning for investors. For the first time in 7 years, the UK has introduced a formal industrial strategy. And this is significant because it shows that the government is listening to businesses. The last time we saw a comprehensive industrial strategy was back in 2017 under Theresa May's government. But since then, successive governments have largely ignored calls for a clear plan. The lack of direction has hurt the UK's standing with international investors. Why would any business choose to locate itself in a country that has cut itself off from the world's largest trading bloc, especially when it could just as easily set up shop within the EU? And that's the question investors have been asking since the Brexit vote. And the data speaks for itself. According to Reuters, the total value of foreign direct investment as a share of the British economy reached a 9-year low in the second quarter of 2024. The uncertainty caused by Brexit, compounded by political instability over the past few years, has been a slow drain on talent, investment and growth. Aston University research shows a 27% drop in UK exports and a 32% decline in imports from the EU since 2021, and that translates into an annual loss of £183 billion. So when Prime Minister Starmer talks about cutting bureaucracy and speeding up investment, it's clear that the stakes are high. The new Labour government knows that it has to do something, and something drastic, to reverse the damage caused by Brexit and make the UK an attractive destination for investors once again. And the government's industrial strategy is designed to do just that. The Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Jonathan Reynolds, recently announced that the strategy is aimed at embedding stability for investors, giving them the confidence to plan not just for the next year, but for the next decade and beyond. And this long-term vision is critical. Businesses need certainty, especially in a post-Brexit world where so much has been thrown into flux. But is it enough? Brexit has not been the big bang of economic damage that some predicted, but it was much worse than a lot of people said. It has been a slow drain, a gradual erosion of the UK's economic strength. Take the Brexit border tax, for example. Businesses importing agricultural products into the UK now face steep charges and delays, making it more expensive and time-consuming to get goods into the country. And then there are the VAT rules. UK businesses dealing with 27 different countries now have to navigate a mountain of paperwork, creating additional headaches for companies already stretched thin. And let's not forget the impact on the creative industries. Visa restrictions and work permit requirements have led to a significant loss of touring contracts for British musicians and also actors and performers. Higher education has also taken a hit. The UK was kicked out of the Horizon and Erasmus programs, which were crucial for research and student exchange. And the loss of international students has dealt a significant blow to their universities, which rely on those students for funding and for cultural exchange. So it's clear that Brexit has created a multitude of problems for businesses and investors alike. But Starmer's government isn't calling for a rejoining of the EU, even though there's some indication that a referendum on rejoining could be won. The reality is that returning to the EU isn't something that can happen overnight. It would take years to renegotiate terms and rebuild relationships that were severed by Brexit. And in the meantime, businesses have to make critical decisions in the next 18 months. And they can't afford to wait for the UK to sort out its future relationship with Europe, and they certainly can't wait another decade for certainty. And that's why Starmer's government is focusing on fixing the problems that Brexit is creating rather than trying to undo it entirely. But you cannot fix the whole thing. But one of the key ways the government is doing this is by aligning some UK regulations with EU standards. Businesses have said they would invest more if the UK were to align its regulations with those of the EU. And the idea is that by reducing the differences between the UK and EU product standards, the UK can reduce the red tape that has been created by Brexit. It's a practical solution that doesn't require rejoining the EU, but still addresses some of the core issues that have been holding businesses back. The government is also looking at deals to establish rules for food safety and animal and plant health, which could help reduce the delays and the costs at UK ports. Rejoining the Pan-Euro-Mediterranean Convention could further simplify trading across Europe, making it easier for UK businesses to operate within the EU's regulatory framework. And then there's still the possibility of negotiating a youth mobility deal. This wouldn't be the same as freedom of movement, but it would allow for more flexible visa arrangements, making it easier for young people to study, work and travel between the UK and the rest of Europe. And these are just some of the ideas being floated by the new Labour government and the EU as the government tries to spruce up the UK for investors. But will it be enough to overcome the deep economic scars left by Brexit? That remains to be seen, but it's very doubtful. What's clear, though, is that the UK can't afford to ignore the reality of its situation. The barriers to trade, the paperwork, the delays, these are all very real problems that need real solutions. The government's focus on growth, investment and innovation is indeed a step in the right direction. But as businesses make critical decisions about where to invest in the coming months, the UK will have to prove that it's more than just a country dealing with the aftermath of Brexit. It will need to show that it can still be a leader in innovation, production and talent. And that's going to require not just cutting red tape, but rebuilding trust with investors who have grown wary of the UK's political and economic landscape. So thank you for watching Outside Views, and as always, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more insights on the issues that matter. Until next time, and the next video is right here in the end screen.